Good morning, traders. Today is November 1st, 2022. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream where we talk about the ES and NQ and the two-way auction process. Well, first order of business on the two-way auction process this morning is a gap up. The movement that the overnight market made above yesterday's high is considered a gap. So when we open this morning, the first order of business for the market is to try to fill that gap. That is to try to get down to yesterday's high at 39.04. Okay? If they try to push down there and they find support before they get to yesterday's high, they turn around and they start to head higher. That is what we call a gap and go. That is a very bullish signal. Same exact thing if they're able to get to yesterday's high and they find support there and then start to head higher. That is also a gap and go, which is very, very bullish. Okay. I would describe myself this morning as neutral to bullish. Because of the momentum and because of the gap. However, one thing that does stand out to me as a little bit unusual is the fact that yesterday we came so close to repairing this weakness that we left behind on Thursday, and we did not repair it. For the moment, that's actually bullish. It's a when what should happens doesn't. It should have pulled down. So the fact that it didn't need to is actually bullish. But if we fill the gap today, and we don't find support at yesterday's high, that would increase the odds in my mind that at the very least we need to repair the weak reference we left behind at the M period low, 38.80. And if not that, maybe head back down to test yesterday's low. So I'm bullish as long as we can find support at yesterday's high. If we start to pull back down into yesterday's range, we probably need to visit the opposite end. Okay. The market's rotation at higher prices yesterday was the market telling us we didn't need. So we've got all this excess in the market. And so rotating up here at higher prices yesterday was the market saying that we don't need to pull back with price to repair that excess. But we may need to spend some time. We may need to spend a few days rotating around in this area. And with the fact that we have the FOMC meeting tomorrow, that increases the odds in my mind that the market would rather spend the day today rotating around inside this range that they're already comfortable with rather than explore new prices. So that's why I say I am bullish on the momentum, but neutral to bullish, because it does feel like there's a pretty high probability we just go sideways. So anyway, market is open. First order of business, can they fill the gap? That gap fill is now in play. We pushed above the opening price and we pulled back down through it. So they are trying to fill the gap. Okay, so we're now looking for resistance here at the halfback, 39.19, and a continuation of trying to fill the gap. Got 137 people hanging out, 58 likes. Please smash that thumbs up button. All right. Well, so far they're doing a really great job of keeping price up here while they pull those ticks down towards the zero line. That is bullish to see. It shouldn't take much effort for the sellers to fill the gap. So the fact that the buyers are allowing that overnight inventory to be absorbed and keeping price up here is bullish. And there you go, passing back through the opening price. Signals the increase in odds that this is a gap and go. So we're now looking to turn half back into support. If they can turn half back into support right here at 38.19, which they're testing right now. They could not. So it's not quite ready yet. But when they push through that opening price and then come back down and turn that into support, they'll be ready to head up and test the overnight high. So there they go again, pulling the ticks lower, but not the price. All right. Well, it's doing it again. So once again, if they push through the opening price, okay, and then come back down, if they can turn the half back where we are right now, if we can turn it into support, that is good for a gap and go. If not, I am very, very confident that there are buyers waiting at yesterday's high if they do need one more push lower to fill the gap. But either way, this feels bullish to me. Okay, so there's the pass back through the open once again. So now can they turn half back into support? If so, they're looking to head up and test that overnight high. Here we go. Nope. Not yet. All right, 100 likes. We did it. Bow, bow, bow. All right, I am bullish. It should be noted, though, as I put this banner up, there's still a very high probability we need to test yesterday's high at 39.04. So I am bullish as long as we find support there. If we start to pull back down into yesterday's range, I will be back to neutral and even a little bit bearish. But as long as this, guys, is textbook right here. The way we've slowly but surely been allowing the overnight inventory to take profits, right? All those sellers who went long in the overnight that pushed the market up here, we're giving them a chance to get out and to take profits. And there are new buyers stepping in. And we know that because it should very easily be able to get to yesterday's high, and it can't. So somebody is buying it up here. And they're not buying it up here because they think it's going to go nowhere. They're buying it up here because they think it's going to go higher. So I am bullish as long as we stay above yesterday's high at 39.04. I would also love to see whenever the ticks do get back to the zero line, I'd love to see them bounce off there. So whether price gets back to the gap fill or not, if the ticks get back to the zero line and then they push up right away, you know there's buyers waiting. All right, so this is a great scenario right here. We got a liquidation right into support. So squeezing out any weak hands that got in earlier, giving stronger hand buyers a chance to get in right at a gap fill. Keep your eye on those ticks. Can they keep them above the zero line? That would be bullish. But Charles, it's dropping so fast. Yeah, sometimes you got to buy other people's fear. All right, there's the gap fill. So now the question is, do we get the buyers here? Do those ticks get a big push up? All right, so for now, the support is holding. So we're looking to head back up, backfill these this low volume node up here at 39.12 and look for resistance there. Remember, the thing we want to look at when we get to the previous high is, can they keep the ticks above the zero line? No, sir. It's starting to break. Break down. All right. So I'm back to neutral here. To get me bullish, they got to push back above 39.05 and find some support up there. Otherwise, we're kind of in a no man's land here. Yeah, if we can't find support right now and turn around and head back up, I think we're heading back down to repair the weak M period low at 38.80. Yes, sir. And that's going to lead likely to another day of rotation like yesterday, where we just kind of bounce around in this range as a setup for the FOMC on Wednesday. Right? Remember I said that this morning. We created a lot of excess last week. Two ways to balance off the excess. We can balance it off with price, or we can balance it off with time. There's a chance that all we needed was yesterday, that was enough time and we were ready to continue higher. The failure to find support at yesterday's high tells us we're not done yet. We need more sideways. The market's not ready to go higher just yet. And with the FOMC tomorrow, I imagine that's what they're waiting for. So I now suspect a very slow rotational day. But for the moment, heading down to test 38.80. Site. Charles, a while ago you said that you tried to trade Bitcoin, but with no success. Can you tell us something different about trading crypto in regular markets? Well, not trading Bitcoin in general. I made tons of money on Bitcoin. Day trading it is what I'm talking about. Trying to day trade Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies is extremely difficult because the markets are so thin that they're very easily manipulated. You know what I mean? I mean, we've had a lot of similar moves in the actual ES lately, but crypto, the market does a lot of things where it's like it's balancing in a tight range, and then it breaks out of that range, and it does it like instantly, and then it gets stuck in a tight range, and then it breaks out of that range, and it moves lower instantly. Like it does this a lot, and the problem with that is, if you're a day trader and this is your day right here, you go, all day you're buying the market, waiting for it to break higher. You never get a chance. So the end of the day comes, you exit your positions, you go home for the night, and then overnight, boom, it makes a big move. And so then the next day you're like, okay, cool. I think it needs to pull back. And all day you're trying to short, waiting for that thing to go back. And then you go to bed at night and boom, it pulls back lower. So the thing about crypto is it's really only tradable over a longer term basis. If you're trading, on a swing basis over several weeks, as opposed to trying to trade it intraday, because the moves are just too violent and too fast. If you don't happen to already be in the trade, you miss them. Also, the patterns are not recognizable, right? The market is completely random because it's just whatever market participant decides they're going to throw $50 million at such and such an altcoin today and pump it, there's no way to know which altcoins on which days, how big of a pump, blah, blah, blah. It's completely random and totally different every day. Whereas with the ES, there's very consistent moves day in and day out. It functions a certain way. And that just makes it much more predictable on a shorter term basis. But I'm all for trading crypto on a longer term basis as a swing trader, just not as a day trader. All right, well, there's your news bot. News bot, newsing it up. Okay, so once again, we got a second liquidation break here in the market. Obviously, if it's the computers, just trading whatever the news is. Manufacturing PMI. Then the volatility should end in a few seconds here. Joanne, why is Bookmap empty? It does that before a big news event when they think that the bots are going to kick in and do this. The regular bots, what I call the bracketing bots that are just always on the market at all times, those turn off so that these other bots can turn on. Okay, so as we head down to repair the weak M period low at 38.80, that should give us some more insights moving forward. Is that all they have to do? Do they just have to repair that weak low and then they turn around and head right back up? Or do we still get new selling from there? New selling from there would get me bearish for further downside continuation, because that would be telling me we're not doing the balancing excess with price, with time. If we're going to do the balancing with time, we should find support in here. So I remain neutral as long as we find support once we repair 38.80. If we start to head lower, I get bearish quick. John, I hate holding those trades during the murder bot sessions. Yeah, but once you know what it is, when you see it kick in, you see that volatility kick in, and you look over at the clock and you see it's a nice round number like 10 a.m., you can calm down because you know it's just some piece of information was released and the market's got to react to it, and you just wait it out. That's the fun part of experience. You can learn to control those emotions. Screwball says more new selling after the liquidation is bearish. Yeah, but like I said, let's see what happens once they repair this weak reference. It might be that's all they need. Screwball, but they could do it in a less bearish scenario. This gap fill with no pullback higher. Yeah, I just bigger picture. Don't see it as bearish yet. Like I said, to me, the idea of just rotating around inside this range all day makes perfect sense to me. As a way for the market to just wait for tomorrow. So I'm not overly bearish like we're going lower. And like I said, unless we get new selling down here, then I'll switch gears instantaneously. But for now, let's wait and see if they just want balance. And they need to repair that little weak reference they left behind before they start to do it. All right, so there's the repair of that weak reference. So now we play the same game we played at the gap fill. Do we bring in the buyers? If they just want a slow rotational day to the side so they can wait for the FOMC tomorrow, this is where the buyers should step in and start to defend. We're looking for those ticks to get smacked back up above the zero line. If they head back down below yesterday's low, expect it to bring in more selling. Oh boy, look at all these icebergs. They definitely want to get short. All right, guys. Well, no support here near yesterday's low does have me bearish that this market needs a larger pullback. Obviously, don't jump into a short right now. That would not be smart. You want to wait until we test yesterday's low and see if we get new sellers there or sell resistance on a push back up. But like I said, the way they left behind that weak reference yesterday is a bit fishy. So it was bullish in the fact that it was a when what should happen doesn't, as long as we still had the momentum. But now that we know that momentum is gone, now that's in need of repair. And pushing down there could bring in more sellers looking to take the market further. Okay, the low is now weak because they stopped a tick off from the previous week low. Mark, bad taper plus all bids. Yeah, another reason for the low to be weak. They were all buyers there. Well, Jeremy, now's your chance. Get long. You too, Michael. Jump in that long trade. All right, so there's the repair of the week reference. So now we're looking for resistance at yesterday's low for continuation to the downside. Do the sellers pile on here? All right, so it feels like a moment of truth for the market here. Either this resistance at yesterday's closing price is going to hold and smack the market lower, or it's going to break. If it breaks to the upside, I think we are definitely looking at a rotational day where we will likely be stuck inside the initial balance. But if they can hold this resistance here, we may start trending lower once we get back down below yesterday's low. So moment of truth for the market. All right. Well, unfortunately, I can't give you much more insight than that at this particular moment. If they can hold this resistance here and get back down below yesterday's low, that increases the odds that we don't need to balance this off with time. We need to balance it off with price. Okay. So if we push back down below yesterday's low, we start to get some resistance there. I'd first be looking to test the single prints at 66, then at 55. If neither of those hold as support, heading back down lower. And we just got to monitor for continuation lower from there. I certainly don't think we'll get all the way down to like the 87s, but certainly monitoring for continuation lower. Whereas if they do push back through that resistance and start to head back up to backfill the single prints, then that, in my mind, would increase the odds we're going to get rotation. So we'd be looking for resistance at the base of those single prints, which are also half back. So certainly we would expect some resistance there. And if we push through it, we know the market is just rotational. With that, I bid you all farewell. Happy trading. We'll see you tomorrow.